with Robert J. Wright and Erin.
Good morning. It's blah, 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 blah. Let's start again. Good morning. It's 6:03. Robert and Erin. FMN 710 KEEL. Erin, local news, getting ready right now.
Things wrapped up at midnight. Did they get a deal done? We'll talk more about that. Tragedy on the Sabine River. We'll have more on that, too. And some troubles at the downtown airport.
What does the state legislature of the state of Louisiana have to do with Mudbugs hockey? I will explain in a couple of seconds, and it has to do, well, way more with me than it has to do with you. But it's awesome, and I'll tell you. Let me see. Fletcher is still gone. Matt has sport. What?
We'll hear from the governor this hour on right after midnight. He was not a happy camper.
Wait. He's going to be joining us, or you have?
We have some sections of his comments. He was PO'd.
Well, then maybe it's going to be a good day after all. Oh, yeah. Matt has sports, traffic, and weather. It's all coming up this hour here on KEEL.
Businesses.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Governor John Bel Edwards says he will call lawmakers back to Baton Rouge for a third special session this year after things didn't go well last night.
Obviously, I am extremely disappointed in what was just a disaster that played out in the House of Representatives that is attributable to a minority of the House members and to leadership that is anything but.
Now, New Orleans Senator Karen Carter Peterson laid the blame for the session's failure at the 40 House members' feet.
We all have to own what a few people in the House of Representatives did because they're selfish. They are callous in their disregard for human beings.
The governor says he was embarrassed by the lack of cooperation in the legislature. You can hear the governor's full remarks at KEELnews.com. According to an audit by the FAA, Shreveport's downtown airport has been mismanaged for decades. The audit states the airport is losing money because they don't charge enough for hangars. A teenager dies in a drowning accident in DeSoto Parish. Matt Parker with that.
15-year-old Javier Simpson drowned in the Sabine River Monday afternoon while swimming with friends. According to the DeSoto Parish Sheriff's Office, the tragic event happened shortly after Simpson jumped off a boat dock on the riverfront. Logansport High School will hold a prayer vigil in honor of Simpson tonight at 6 p.m. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
SPAR and the city of Shreveport hosting a cleanup Saturday at the dog park. The event starts at 7 a.m. with the focus on cleaning up and improving the park after flooding from the Red River. Volunteers will plant new flowers, clean, and fix any number of problems. Two major crashes Monday afternoon caused big-time delays and shut down part of I-20 West. A fatal accident near the Greenwood Road exit left 2 people dead. It initially caused the freeway to close for a couple of hours. Then shortly after reopening, an incident at the state line caused another major shutdown. Funding for highway projects in our state limited. Much of the money is used as leverage to bring in federal dollars. DOTD has a list of priorities for the mega projects, and widening I-20 from the Red River to I-49 is on the A list, while a new Jimmy Davis Bridge is on the B list. Transportation Secretary Dr. Sean Wilson tells KEEL News about those priorities.
Our goal is to do as much as we would be able to do with the funds we have. And remember, this A and B list is $10.6 billion. which is huge, and it has to happen over time. You can't just spend $10.6 billion and no one will be able to move because of the construction, but that's the reality. It's a pretty comprehensive list.
But Dr. Wilson says the A list won't necessarily get done before projects on the B list. You can see the full priority list at KEELnews.com. Robert Smith Jr. arrested by Caddo deputies for allegedly having a sexual relationship with a teenage boy. Smith and the young boy allegedly exchanged sexual text messages and nude photos. The Secretary of State's office has been warning the public that Louisiana has aging voting machines that could fall apart, and now we have a price tag for replacing them, $60 million. The feds have offered to chip in with nearly $6 million to get the process started. Secretary of State Kyle Ardoin says it's not going to happen overnight.
At best, we're going to have $10 million moving into the new fiscal year. Our real goal is to phase this in over a 5-year period, replacing those at least in 5 parishes.
Ardoin says that means thousands of machines will have to be repaired or replaced. Sarah Gilbert says even though she lost a job because of it, she supports ABC's decision to pull the plug on Roseanne. Gilbert says the network did what it had to do after Roseanne Barr's racist tweet. 2 Shreveport guys qualify for next week's U.S. Open. Sam Burns and Philip Barbary both survived what's called the longest day in golf to make the field for the upcoming major event. Several other LSU Tigers also made the field. The event starts June 14th. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 7.
Past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Traffic update starting us off for Tuesday morning. Here's Ruben.
Start things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
12 past 6 o'clock, Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. The KEEL app, a free download, office furniture source. So, how is Mudbugs hockey similar to the legislature? Both houses, House, Senate, state of Louisiana.
I have no clue.
Here is how. When the Mudbugs played their championship game, what was it, Matt, about 3-4 weeks ago on that Monday night in Blaine, Minnesota, just outside of Minneapolis and or St. Paul. Remember I came in and I told you I didn't watch the game, I didn't listen to the game, I didn't pay attention to the game because it was too much for me to handle. It was too intense. There was I was too wound up and too involved to pay attention.
You just can't look.
So I knew the game would be over at about 10 o'clock. So at about 10 o'clock, I started looking on Facebook and saw that the Mudbugs had won. And then I could go to everybody's website or Facebook page and watch the video and see the celebratory photos, etc. And I didn't have to put myself through the agony of the contest. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I did that last night with the last part of the special session.
Oh, my.
So when I got up this morning, I just didn't look to see if they'd come to a deal.
I watched part of it.
And I saw this morning there was no deal. And
no deal.
I got
they passed the budget.
I got what?
Well, they passed the budget.
But the governor vetoed? See,
no, we don't know yet.
I didn't pay. I don't know what happened. Other than this morning I saw that they did not. They
did not concur on the Senate's tax plan.
The House
said
didn't.
No.
Well, good.
They said no. We don't agree to that.
Okay, so
and
what?
So they sent the governor kind of the similar budget they sent a couple weeks ago, and he vetoed.
Did a budget from the House has gone to the governor?
Yes.
A separate budget from the Senate has gone. Wow, what a mess!
It's a mess. It's a
so
whale
basically,
of a mess.
But I'm not sure that's bad.
And if he he says he's calling him into special session, which means he probably will veto this budget. But if I were him, sign it, call him back, see what they can do.
If you sign it, you can't call him back.
No, you can call him back to make changes. Absolutely, you can call him back to raise more taxes.
But if you sign it, you can't raise taxes now.
You can raise them in a special session if that's what you want to do.
No, what I mean is they can't agree now.
Take the budget, sign it, send them back a memo saying here's where we're cutting.
Stop a
LSU
second.
football's gone.
Okay.
And then maybe they'll raise taxes if that's what you want.
Let's get to my point. The governor can't get taxes raised now. He's not going to get taxes raised in the next special session.
I know.
At least to the degree that he wants.
Yeah, I know.
So what threats, what new let me ask you this. If you had to sort of, I don't want to say pick a side, but let's pick a side. Would you concede that on occasion the governor and his minions are given to slight hysterics? That they are given
of course.
That they are.
It's not hysterics, it's politics.
That they are
it's how they play in Baton Rouge.
That they are given to threats.
It's how they play.
And the way it's going to work is they are going to tell you, the citizenry of Louisiana, that if the governor, doesn't get his way, I've said it 1,000 times, the old National Lampoon magazine cover, buy this magazine or I'm going to shoot this dog.
I say we pull the trigger, shoot the dog. I'm going to tell Jay Darden today when he calls in later.
Shoot the dog.
Shoot the dog. Put the nursing home patients on the street. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what you do.
End the SNAP benefits. Let's see what happens. Do it. Don't keep telling us you're going to do it. Do it, big boy.
Do you think?
Can I call him big boy?
If you want.
Okay.
Do you think they are bluffing?
No. Of course they're bluffing. They're going to find cuts elsewhere. They're not going to cut off SNAP benefits. It would be political suicide. Because who's going to blame? Who are they going to blame when someone goes to Kroger and their card doesn't work? They're not going to blame lawmakers. They have no clue. They're going to say, Governor cut off my SNAP benefits.
They're going to blame each other.
They're going to blame John Bell.
And in
Governor cut off my SNAP benefits.
Given the state of politics, given the zeitgeist of the culture in Louisiana right now, I'm not sure John Bell can get away with doing that.
He couldn't. He's going to have to find other cuts. I say shoot the dog. Shoot the puppy.
Okay,
That's
if somebody's,
what I'm gonna tell him.
Pardon me just a moment. If you're just joining us in the
I'm
last,
not.
if you're just
Please
joining
don't
us
call
in the
me
last
PETA.
15 to 20 seconds, it's figurative speech.
Figuratively, yes, absolutely. Coming up next, can we play some of the governor's remarks? Because he was ticked off.
Okay, I got 2 words for you.
Yeah.
Well, 1 word actually. Long shot.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Tell everybody what long shot is.
It's this book that was written about John Bell's election and how it is nasty, dirty behind the scenes.
What's the one thing, the one consistency, the one common thread that you take away from the book Long Shot? What I've read so far is that the governor knows how to play hardball.
Oh, he plays big-time hardball. And he's not the only one. A lot of them do. And, I wouldn't put anything past him. I mean, he's the same governor who said, we might have to cut out LSU football. The man said that.
So what effect does that threat from about a year and a half ago, what effect, if any, does that have on what he says now as far as whether you buy into it?
It's all BS. Call him on it. Send him the budget. Let's see it. Let him sign it. Let's let him put the nursing home patients on the curb, which he's not going to do.
He's not going to sign it. He's calling them back to special session.
Yeah.
Wait and see.
Oh, he is calling them into special session.
Okay, so we're going to have Jay Darden on again this morning.
Yeah.
And you're really going to call him Big Boy. Hello, Big Boy.
Hey, Big Boy.
Big Daddy Jay.
Pull the trigger, shoot the puppy.
Already got one of those. Let's see. We need to try. It's an inside joke. We need to try to track down Alan Seabaugh.
He's asleep.
And we need to
They worked until 1 a.m.
And we need to try to track down John Kay from Americans for Prosperity.
He might be awake.
Okay, 19 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Ruben's here, traffic update.
Start things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
.101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Sports update. Here's Matt.
2 Shreveport guys have qualified for next week's U.S. Despite the dreadful performance, the Yankees were able to split the series with the Detroit Tigers.
1017 FM, 1017 FM.
You sound like me.
1017 FM.
That's how I feel.
710 Keel. I woke up about 4:20.
Oh man, I woke up at like 1 and
So
I
like
watched
if you
all
wake
that
up
junk.
if you wake up a little early
Mm-hmm.
and invariably feel wide awake, because that's how it happens.
Right.
But you've got 30, 45 minutes to an hour before your alarm goes off. Do you usually get up or do you go back to bed?
Oh, I get up. If I have to have a 2-hour window before I go back to sleep.
Really?
So I did go back to sleep after 1, but it wasn't the
if
deep
your
sleep.
alarm is set for, say, theoretically 4 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
if you wake up between 2 and 4, you get up?
Stay up.
Seriously?
Yeah, stay up. I catch up on stuff.
Okay, if my alarm
order Matt around more.
If my alarm is set for 4:30,
yeah.
If I wake up before 4:20, I go back to sleep.
Oh boy, I wish I could.
You know what's crazy? I can tell your sleep cycle by how many text messages I get and how angry they sound.
You know someone who sounded angry? Oh my gosh! Did you get up? You didn't get up and watch this.
No, I didn't know until this morning.
The governor had this
I purposely didn't want to know what happened
big
last
news conference after the session wrapped, and he was ticked
Okay,
off.
now understand when John Bell uses the word disappointed, basically what he means is, I want to choke a Republican.
Oh, yeah.
So every time, in fact, if we have a drinking game, if we did a drinking game,
yeah,
like every time he says disappointed
or disgusted,
you got to take a shot.
You got to take a shot. Let's do it.
I have a bottle of tequila in my desk.
Let's go get it.
We'll all be gassed by 6:30.
It's tea day.
Okay, get the shot glasses ready.
Yeah.
Here's John Bell last night talking about what he sees as the inability of the state house, of the House of Representatives, to put together what he thinks is a legitimate budget deal.
Obviously, I am extremely disappointed in what was just a disaster that played out in the House of Representatives that is attributable to a minority of the House members and to leadership that is anything but. It is a sad day for the state of Louisiana. You saw a minority in the House clearly let politics take priority over people. Our state deserves better. Our state deserves better than what we saw tonight. And it's that same minority that created chaos throughout the end of that session to prevent what was a very serious and responsible plan to fix our problems, maintain our momentum, and allow opportunity and prosperity to continue to flourish in the state of Louisiana. And what they said no to tonight in the House was a plan that would adequately fund our critical priorities. Instead, they chose a course of action that is devastating for kids who are on TOPS, parents of kids who are on TOPS. If you are interested in the GO Grant program for the need-based students out there, higher education in general, sheriffs, DAs, the Department of Education, Corrections, DCFS, youth services, you name it, all across the board. And look, I made it very clear. I was ready to sign a budget and the revenue bills necessary that would actually cut spending by more than $200 million and reduce the tax burden on the people of Louisiana by more than $500 million, and yet it would still have funded our priorities. And I'll remind you that last year, the legislature passed, I don't think with a dissenting vote, a blueprint for a standstill budget that would have cost $205 million more than the budget was on the table today. And I'll also remind you that the Senate passed the budget intending to fund it with a vote of 38-1. Every single Republican voted for it, and every member of the Democratic caucus voted for that budget bill. On the revenue bills, the Senate voted 32-6 for House Bill 12. What's House Bill 12, right? By Walt Leger. 32-6. Now, when it gets to the House, that bill got 63 votes. A clear majority of the House. And yet, it was a bipartisan vote as well, if you take a look at it. When Representative Harris's bill got up there, it got 38 votes. 38 votes. And that's what they thanked the session for. So that they have to come back yet again and spend more taxpayer monies on a special session, draw that per diem. And oh, by the way, the legislature's budget is funded. Yeah, isn't that something? The legislature's budget is fully funded right now. But the budget for the state agencies that actually serve the people of our great state, including our children and our most at-risk people, catastrophically underfunded. It is the height of irresponsibility.
Like that part. 38-1. 38-1. I thought for a second he was talking about the Oregon State LSU combined scores from the two games.
Hush. You know he doesn't like LSU.
Yeah, right. He wants
Doesn't
to
talk about them.
cancel their football.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's John Bell last night commenting on, I counted at least a half a dozen shots I would have had.
Yeah, I'm pretty drunk.
Wow. No, you're just a little groggy. Erin, local news. She will compose herself during the commercial break. Traffic and weather updates coming up right now. Here's Ruben on KEEL.
Start things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The special session falls apart. No deal on taxes.
It is a sad day for the state of Louisiana. You saw a minority in the House clearly let politics take priority over people. Our state deserves better. Our state deserves better than what we saw tonight.
The governor says he will have to call lawmakers back into special session later this month to get something ready for the budget year that begins July 1st. Now, the bill did get opposition from key Republican leaders, House GOP Chairman Lance Harris and Speaker Taylor Barra, who questioned some of the taxes' legitimacy.
It's got multiple objects in the bill. I would question some of the constitutionality of those multiple objects.
The governor says he was embarrassed by the lack of cooperation by lawmakers. A teenager dies in a drowning accident in DeSoto Parish. 15-year-old Javier Simpson drowned in the Sabine River Monday afternoon while swimming with friends. An audit by the FAA uncovers several issues at the downtown airport. Matt Parker has that.
According to an audit by the FAA, Shreveport's downtown airport has been mismanaged for decades. The audit states that the airport is losing money because they aren't charging enough for hangars. The FAA also says that there are numerous violations at the facility which could affect their ability to get federal grant money. The Shreveport Airport Authority has until August 1st to submit a plan to turn the facility around. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Widening I-20 from the Red River Bridge to I-49 and from Benton Road to I-220 are the top highway projects on the state's wish list for our region. The Jimmy Davis Bridge is on the B list. We asked Transportation Secretary Dr. Sean Wilson why I-20 ranks higher than other projects.
The interstate has to take priority over many other roads in terms of federal funds because of the match becomes 90-10, but also it moves a great number of cars, perhaps more than a road that is a 4-lane road or a U.S. highway or something to that effect.
But Dr. Wilson did tell KEEL News the A list won't necessarily get done before projects on the B list. You can see the full list of priorities at KEELnews.com. 2 major accidents Monday afternoon caused major delays and shut down part of I-20 West. A fatal crash near the Greenwood Road exit that left 2 people dead initially caused the interstate to close for a couple of hours. Then shortly after reopening, an incident at the state line caused another major shutdown. There, an accident led to an 18-wheeler catching fire. No injuries reported in that incident, and I-20 West is now back open. A Colorado baker who refused to craft a custom cake for same-sex wedding wins his case at the Supreme Court, but the opinion leaves bigger questions unanswered. More from Jared Halpern.
When the Colorado Civil Rights Commission concluded baker Jack Phillips violated an anti-discrimination law, it did so, Justice Anthony Kennedy writes, with a clear and impermissible hostility towards sincere religious beliefs. But Kennedy steered clear of offering guidance on other questions about anti-discrimination laws and religious exceptions, writing they must be resolved with further elaboration. Other cases are making their way through the courts, from florists and video producers who don't want to participate in same-sex weddings. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
More Louisiana residents will have the ability to treat ailments with medical marijuana. Despite some early objections, the bill gathered surprising bipartisan support in what was an otherwise contentious regular session. Governor John Bel Edwards signed the bill, which was authored by Baton Rouge Democratic Representative Ted James.
For the past 2 years, I've heard from countless families who were excited about the program only to learn that their condition didn't make them eligible. With this bill, I know that we are going to save life and make life more enjoyable.
It adds glaucoma, PTSD, Parkinson's, and other ailments to the list of illnesses eligible for medical marijuana. A Virginia man slurps down 40 dozen oysters to claim victory at this year's World Oyster Eating Championship in New Orleans. Darren Breeden ate 480 of the oysters in 8 minutes in the big oyster event. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Get 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Okay, so guest list for the morning at 7. We are efforting to track down Representative Alan Seabaugh.
Yeah, I'm sure he needs a few hours more sleep.
Well,
we'll try and wake him up.
John Kay from Americans for Prosperity Louisiana chapter at 7:40 this morning.
Our new at 7:40 our new co-host is
Jay Darden is back again.
Can I really call him Big Boy?
Huh?
Can I really call him
Call
Big
him whatever
Boy?
you want. You're going
Okay.
to hear the next mayor, for God's sake.
No, I'm. Oh, you want to know something on that front?
I had 3 people ask me about that yesterday. If you were going to run for city council.
Wait.
No, wait, stop. Look at me.
No, I'm not. Wait, there's even more big news.
What?
I got that text last night about
What
a group.
text?
There's some sort of group that's been talking about it.
The draft Erin McCarty.
Wait.
Oh, God.
She's already got a campaign, and what do you call those?
The EMAC attack.
I
Yeah,
got
we're working on
got a
it.
sign on my lawn.
They've made bumper stickers.
What?
They've made bumper stickers.
What does it say?
I haven't seen it yet. I think it says vote for Erin.
Okay, now this
like
is...
vote for Pedro?
This is...
No, don't vote for me. But you get a good job. I'd
Every
have a
time
good
you
job for
say that, you can't... Okay, here's what happened.
I
Erin-
can't believe somebody really did this. I think it's a joke.
Got about like 90 seconds here. A bunch
Don't
of folks approached you this weekend about the idea of you running for city council.
City council or something. Or school board, they even said. I said, no, I'm not interested.
And you said, no. And so you came in yesterday morning and told the story. You came in yesterday and told the story and said that was a horrible idea and you had no plans to run.
Dreadful.
And then sat there and did 7 minutes on your plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On here's what we should do to fix things. Here's what we should do in Shreveport to make things right. By the way, I'm not
Here's
running.
my billboard. My billboard says back EMAC.
But if I were in charge, here's what I do.
Oh, there's lots of things I would
Now,
do.
I'm not running, but if I were, here's what I'd do.
I want to give people ideas.
You know what this reminds me of? The old George Carlin joke. I don't want my president to run and want to be in office. I want him drug in the office, kicking and screaming.
639, 1017 FM, 710 Keel traffic update here. Here's Ruben.
Start things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and intervals of sun today with a shower or thunderstorm at times. High 89. Partly cloudy, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 19 away from 7 o'clock. Okay, so yesterday, Erin finds this article. It's a bunch of state documents.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks, in these documents, it's from the Department of Transportation and Development.
There you go.
And it prioritizes, it has like priority A, priority B, priority C, and there's these lists for each priority category.
Because I saw some lawmakers talking about the mega projects list, and I wanted to see which of our projects are on the mega projects list.
And you looked, and they're under priority list A.
Yeah, the first priority
was the first Shreveport-Bossier road improvement priority. Was, believe it or not Jimmy Davis, nothing to do with 49.
Nothing to do with the Barksdale interchange.
It had to do with widening the Red River Bridge on I-20 to 6 lanes.
Not the bridge. Widening I-20 from the bridge to I-49.
What?
From the bridge to I-49, widening it to 6 lanes.
Back through downtown?
Yes. And then the other item on the A list was widening I-20 from Benton Road to 220.
So we gave Secretary of the DOTD, Dr. Sean Wilson, a call, and we said, Dr. Sean, we found the priority list. And Jimmy Davis is like way down on priority list B.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody we've ever talked to has said we need 6 lanes going through downtown Shreveport.
Yeah.
At least we didn't know that was on the list.
Right.
Can you explain to us how this works?
So the most important thing I can tell you is 2 things. One, this is a cost-contained list based on funding scenarios. And then 2, It's based on a number of projects that regional entities all weigh in on. So this was not an exclusive decision by the department. And just because a project is in Project A doesn't mean that all of A will go before Project B. You also have to look at the project readiness. And so when you look at something like I-20 and the major capacity challenges there, you can break those projects up into small manageable chunks. You can let them all at one time. And you have to consider what's the implications and the cost benefit of each of those projects. And so it is one of the most confusing things, I think, for the public is to see this list A, B, C, and D, and they automatically assume that everything in A has to go before B, which is not the case. It was really based on engineering, timing, funding scenarios, as well as the ability to generate additional dollars to help leverage some of those projects.
So basically what you're telling her is when she's looking at this list and jumping up and down and throwing stuff is that the widening of the Red River Bridge at I-20 is not the number one priority as far as the state of Louisiana is concerned.
Well, I won't tell you that it's the number one priority as far as Louisiana is concerned because we have to work with MPOs and the Regional Planning Organization. And so within the footprint of that MPO, there are a number of number one projects. That does not necessarily mean that it is more important than another. It just means there's some different implications and funding. For example, the interstate has to take priority over many other roads in terms of federal funds because of the match becomes 90-10, but also it moves a great number of cars, perhaps more than a road that is a 4-lane road or a U.S. highway or something to that effect.
Or so like a bridge over the Red River.
Absolutely. So when you look at that, we have some obligations to the federal government to maintain certain things, as well as maintain a certain level of performance. And so when you go through I-20, there's some original stretches of pavement on I-20 that are already extremely over capacity. And so for the federal perspective, if we don't start addressing those projects, we could potentially lose revenue or have funds directed to those projects. And so it's a very complex process. I can just assure you, our goal is to do as much as we would be able to do with the funds we have. And remember, this A and B list is $10.6 billion, which is huge, and it has to happen over time. You can't just spend $10.6 billion and no one will be able to move because of the construction, but that's the reality. It's a pretty comprehensive list.
Let me ask you this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a nosy woman, as you well know. I keep my tentacles in as much as I can. I'm sorry. I never heard that we needed to widen the I-20 right there. Why is that just done quietly, or it's not controversial? Why am I just seeing this?
You haven't been seeing it because folks tend to take for granted those things that they don't necessarily use as often. And so if you drive over the Jimmy Davis Bridge every morning and deal with that congestion and that condition, you're going to be frustrated because it's that way every day. I-20 carries many people, perhaps some of the same people, but many folks are traveling it for the first time. And here's the other secret about when you widen an interstate. If I have to repave I-20, I have to maintain at least 2 lanes of traffic. And so when you look at a capacity project of adding a lane, a big part of that has to do with pavement preservation and not purely just capacity. Folks could care less about doing what we've already done. They all want something new and shiny, as opposed to taking care of the daily routine stuff like you do at home, changing a light bulb, putting new carpet or a new roof every 30 years.
Mowing the grass, yeah.
Mowing the grass, absolutely. That's what you have kids for, right?
Since you brought up mowing the grass, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me a question.
Okay. You send us $240,000 to mow.
Say again?
The state sends us $240,000 a year, the city of Shreveport, to mow the grass on I-20, I-49, 31, 32.
Correct.
The city chips in some money too. What if it's not getting mowed?
If it's not getting mowed, then we have performance standards on that contract. But most importantly, I'll tell you, when we mow, we only pay for so many mowing cycles per year. You might only mow 7, 8 cycles a year and have about 10 to 12 litter pickups a year.
Okay.
And so the other challenge is when we have short-term budget constraints and we have to cut the budget. For example, if that budget that had passed in the session that the governor vetoed, had he signed that, we'd have had about a $20 million reduction. I'd have had to find about $20 million quickly. The best place to find that and produce that savings is on contract maintenance. Contract maintenance includes things like mowing, and so those are the things that would have been reduced had the budget been reduced. And so if they're not cutting it, we go out and do checks, and we actually verify that is getting cut, and they get their reimbursement. So it's not as though they get a check for $240,000 and then just disappear.
Good morning. It's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Here's Ruben.
Everything's still looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Benton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Eight before 7 o'clock, it's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel Sports.
Two Shreveport guys have qualified for next week's U.S. Open. Sam Burns and Philip Barbary both survived what is called the longest day in golf to make the field for the upcoming major event. Several other LSU Tigers also made the field, including Louis Gagne and Jacob Bergeron. The Open starts June 14th. Former San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Dwight Clark has died after a short battle with ALS. Clark arguably has the biggest reception in franchise history, making the catch to win the 1981 NFC Championship game and push the team to their first Super Bowl. Clark was 61. The Washington Capitals are one win away from winning their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. The Caps beat down the Las Vegas Golden Knights last night 6-2. The series now goes back to Vegas for Game 5 Thursday night. And Yankee slugger Aaron Judge made history last night, just not in a good way. Judge became the first player in Major League Baseball history to strike out 8 times in a doubleheader. Despite the dreadful performance, the Yankees were able to split the series with the Detroit Tigers, winning Game 1 7-4 before dropping Game 2 4-2. From the KEEL Sports Desk, I'm Matt Parker.
1017 FM and 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Okay, so Sam Burns, Shreveport guy Sam Burns, throws up a 62 and a 65 yesterday.
62?
62 and a 65, 36 holes in one day. He was playing in Memphis, and Shreveport guy Philip Barbary, still at LSU, a junior, I believe.
Man.
Also was the medalist at his qualifying round for U.S. Open. And he was in Richmond. I think he was somewhere near Dallas. Richmond, Texas, Richmond Hills, I forget. But I saw that Sam went 62, 65, and Barbary went, was it 60, maybe 65, 67, 65. Anyway, they both just played out their minds yesterday.
Yeah, there was 4 or 5 LSU guys.
4 LSU guys. Gagne and Bergeron was the other one.
And then there was another guy that went to LSU that was older that either just missed the cut or just made it. I don't remember.
See, basically, if you're not if you're not qualified for the U.S. Open, they have regional qualifying rounds, 36 holes in a single day across America. So and it's like I said, Sam blew it up. He was the number one guy in the Memphis regional, and Philip Barbary over toward Dallas.
Wow.
Roy Lang's Philip Barbary's caddy, by the way.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Looks like Langer's going to where is it? Shinnecock Hills, which is on Long Island.
Don't drop the clubs.
On number one rule, and get a bag without a stand.
Yeah.
If you're not toting 60 pounds, you're not a real man. 6:56. Here's Rush on Keel.
On Sunday, an old geezer turned in a vintage performance on CBS. Bill Clinton was back, and he said he probably couldn't get elected today because he doesn't like embarrassing people the way Donald Trump does. And then Clinton said his mother would have whipped him for 5 days straight as a little boy if he had badmouthed people the way Trump does. I don't know, maybe it's senility, or maybe he's still a stranger to the truth, which was the hallmark of his presidency. But either way, folks, it's poppycock. Now, as president, Bill Clinton embarrassed millions of people, starting with his wife, not to mention his entire cabinet, who all went out there and vouched for him after he claimed he didn't have sex with that woman. Now, as for bad-mouthing people, Clinton was the king of badmouth, especially when it came to the guy he considered his main political opponent. That would be me. He falsely accused me of racism. He called me a liar who needed a truth detector. He even tried to blame me for the Oklahoma City bombing. Angry voices on the right. The fact is, Bill Clinton spent his entire political career bad-mouthing people when he wasn't poking the intern. Like I said, maybe it's senility. We're just trying to be charitable here. If you were fumbling around in the dark and somebody handed you a flashlight, you take it, right? Shouldn't it be the same when it comes to spotting threats to your identity and the data on your devices? The digital world is so full of connections, it may only take one weak link for criminals to get in. Now, fortunately, new LifeLock identity theft protection now adds the power of Norton Security to shine light on the threats to your data today. Threats to your identity and threats to your computer or tablet like ransomware. No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime, but new LifeLock with Norton detects a wide range of threats that you may not see on your own. Join now, and for the first year, get an additional 10% off the low starting price of $7.99 a month plus applicable taxes. Just go to lifelock.com and enter the promo code RUSH. That's lifelock.com. Remember, enter my name, RUSH. That's when the magic happens.
It is 6:59, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Fox News is just ahead right now. One more traffic update this hour. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at Greenwood Road and Hearn Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and intervals of sun today with a shower or thunderstorm at times. High 89. Partly cloudy, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning at 7:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Local news getting ready now.
Big news out of Baton Rouge. Did they reach a deal on the budget? We'll have more on that. A teenager drowns in our region. That story's coming up, too. And you can help at the dog park if you'd like.
Okay, so Louisiana chapter Americans for Prosperity anti-tax group. I say that with a note of admiration.
Mm-hmm.
John Kay joins us in just about 10 or 15 minutes. And Jay Darden, Commissioner of Administration, is back again today. Erin's going to call him Big Boy.
Yeah.
Plus, Matt has sports, traffic, and weather, and it's all coming up this hour right here on Keel.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The special session crashed and burned as lawmakers failed once again to agree on a budget and tax plan that solves the fiscal cliff and funds the government next year. Governor John Bel Edwards disappointed.
And oh, by the way, the legislature's budget is funded. But the budget for the state agencies that actually serve the people of our great state, including our children and our most at risk, catastrophically underfunded.
In particular, he singled out a specific group of conservative House Republicans who he says are at the center of the legislature's inability to get a deal done.
That distinct, hardcore caucus of no in the House of Representatives is standing in the way of the state of Louisiana, and we have got to do better.
The governor says he will call lawmakers back into special session before the June 30th deadline. A teenager dies in a drowning accident. 15-year-old Javier Simpson drowned in the Sabine River while swimming with friends. According to an audit by the FAA, the downtown airport in Shreveport has been mismanaged for decades. The audit states the airport is losing money because they're not charging enough for hangars. Citizens can lend a hand to clean up the dog park. Matt Parker has the info.
SPAR in the city of Shreveport will be hosting a cleanup this Saturday at Shreveport's dog park. The event starts at 7 a.m. with the focus on cleaning up and improving the park after flooding from the Red River. Volunteers will plant new flowers, clean and fix any number of problems. Those that want to help are asked to bring shovels, brooms, gloves, power washers, and any other cleaning equipment if they can. No dogs will be allowed during the cleanup effort. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
2 major crashes caused delays and shut down part of I-20 West. A fatal accident near the Greenwood Road exit left 2 people dead. It initially caused the interstate to be closed for a couple of hours. Then shortly after it was reopened, a crash at the state line caused another major shutdown. I-20 West is now back open. About 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer during their lifetime, and now a new study has found that many breast cancer patients can skip chemo. Dr. Lucio Milo of the LSU Health New Orleans chimes in.
And it asks the question, is hormone therapy alone just as effective as hormone therapy plus chemo? And the answer is yes.
Breast cancer, the second leading cause of cancer death among women. The next step in the legal case against Harvey Weinstein is being taken today. The disgraced movie mogul to be arraigned in New York on rape and criminal sex act charges. And a 24-year-old Wyoming college student says she stole more than $10,000 in store merchandise, well, because she was doing research for a term paper on kleptomania. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
Nation.
Nine past 7 o'clock. It's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic time. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at West 70th Street and Joella Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Hamilton Road near Barksdale Boulevard in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning. It's 7:11. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. The Keel app's a free download, always presented by Office Furniture Source. John Kay, Director, Louisiana Chapter of Americans for Prosperity. John, welcome back to Keel. What's up, man? How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Are you in a good mood because of what happened? Wait, what did not happen last evening in Baton Rouge? Explain to us what happened and tell us why you're happy or sad.
I am in a great mood, and it's a little bit of both. Number one, I'm in a great mood because of what happened with Alan Seaball standing up for the taxpayers. What he did last night was courageous.
Pardon me just a second. Pardon me, John, and you can explain this too. I saw you posted early this morning, Alan Seaball, Shreveport representative. Alan Seaball is my hero. So work the Alan Seaball is my hero part into your explanation also, please.
Yes. So Alan Seaball last night with about 2 or 3 minutes left to go in legislative session. They had already voted on the sales tax bill multiple times. They were trying to get it rammed through at midnight with just a few minutes to go before they had to get out of there. He went to the floor and he ran out the clock by what's effectively was a filibuster. And he told people what he was doing. He was trying to run out the clock and protect taxpayers. He caught a lot of flack. There were folks yelling at him on the floor. The Senate chamber, they went and gave speeches afterwards talking about Alan Seaball and how they don't like him, essentially. But the reason they don't like him is because he stood up for taxpayers and helped the legislature keep their promise that they would not extend that penny. Now, they're going to come back and try, I'm sure. But Alan Seaball last night took a courageous stand that is very rare, and he deserves kudos for that.
Bluntly put, if it were not for Alan Seaball, would they have gotten a deal done last night, i.e., would the House of Representatives folded and gone along with the Senate plan?
There's a good chance. Just out of desperation to not go back to Baton Rouge for another legislative session, they were close on the vote. They had been ticking it and trying to get more people on board to avoid another session. So there is, at that point in time, if they had voted on it again, there is a good chance that it was passed. I cannot say with certainty, however.
What's going to happen now? The ball's kind of in the governor's court. Does he sign the budget? Well, what's he going to do?
I think the governor's in a really tough spot. This is the second time he's received a budget, and maybe the third time in a row that a legislative session has ended without a tax increase. The legislature, this is a trend at this point in time. I think that the governor, when he stood up and vetoed the last budget, caught a lot of flack for it. And I think that at this point in time, I think he's in a really tough spot, and my prediction is that he's either going to sit on the budget for as long as he can, or he's going to have to sign the budget and still demand tax increases.
If John Bell signs the budget that came out of the House, basically the one he vetoed last time, if he were to sign this one, could he call another special session to try to make up what he sees as a budget gap, or would they fix it, for lack of a better term, internally?
They could do either one. I think he will call another session. I put out a press release on Saturday calling for the legislature to do exactly what they did last night, pass the budget and go home, and basically tell the governor to kick rocks whenever he tells them to come back, which is what I'm hoping that they do. That's what they've done 3 times in a row now by leaving legislative sessions without tax increases. It's time just to stop showing up to legislative sessions in Baton Rouge. The governor calls, stop wasting taxpayer
Don't
dollars.
show up for the special session?
Or show up and immediately sine die. One of the two things needs to happen. If there's a legal reason why they have to show up to the session, then show up and gavel in and gavel out and say the session's over. We're not going to raise taxes. They can absolutely do that.
Go ahead.
Help me out for the folks that are just waking up. Find what did they do at midnight? What's cut today? What did not get done? I understand TOPS is cut by 30%, and higher ed's taking a pretty big whack.
Yeah, and there will be cuts to agencies as well. But the reason why I think that this is the correct path to go is last week the governor vetoed House Bill 321 by Rick Edmonds, a representative from Baton Rouge, formerly pastor at Calvary Baptist in Shreveport. And the bill said that they want a little bit more transparency on where money is being spent within the legislative session or within the budget. When they appropriate money for funded vacancies, they want to know where that money's going. The governor vetoed that, and he said, legislature, you should not have any access to that information. That is an executive branch function. We're not going to give it to you. That proves to me that there's fat in the budget that can be cut, and the governor does not want them to see it.
Erin has said for a long time that when the money is allocated by the state legislature, by the House, by the state budget to specific state departments, that it's no longer up to the legislature how that money is allocated. So if there are threats of like John Bell did a couple of weeks ago, we're going to seniors in the streets, SNAP benefits being cut, those are made internally. How high up do the decisions for what will be cut go?
They're made within the departments. As far as where the cuts happen, those would come from the Commissioner of Administration from the governor's office directly. As far as how those cuts are spread around, a lot of that is left up to the department. And what they'll do first is, or at least what we suspect that they do, is they go into these unfunded vacancies, positions they never really intended to fill in the first place, just empty spot. And they say, we're not going to fill the spots, and they call that a cut. That's not what a normal person would call a cut. That's what a government bureaucrat calls a cut. And that's what this debate has come down to at this point in time.
We're talking to John Kay, Americans for Prosperity. So when Jay Darden tells us at 7:40 this morning that lawmakers allocate how we spend the money and where the cuts are made, that's not quite right.
Ask him about BA7s, which is what Representatives Edmonds and Bacala have been trying to trace through state government and how they move money around from one spot to another within departments. The legislature says initially where they want the money to be spent, but that's not necessarily what happens.
So it's a shell game.
And they can't. Yeah, it's absolutely a shell game.
John, it's just a mess. And TOPS kids today are going, what am I supposed to do now? What am I supposed to do now?
It is a mess, and Louisianans deserve tax reform. They deserve a legislature that's going to come in and give pro-growth policy to the state. We haven't seen that, but what we did see last night was we saw that there's a backbone that exists. Talked about it on your radio station, I think, last week. There's a backbone that exists, and the central part of that backbone last night was Alan Seabaugh.
And now we're back to the old Constitutional Convention question, eh?
I think that question is going to be one that occurs for an indefinite period of time.
Is John Bell Edwards doomed politically?
It's hard to say. I don't know. I do know that I think that he's acting outside of the will of the people of the state of Louisiana, and I think that people have lost faith in the state government, and you can't really blame them, I don't think. So if that's any indicator, then probably. But it's going to be a wait-and-see type of game.
John Kay, Americans for Prosperity. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks
John. A
for having
pleasure
me. Take
as
care.
always.
And we'll tell Jay Darden you said hi.
Tell him I said hey. Thanks.
19 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Ruben's here, traffic update.
The intersection at West 70th Street and Juella Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Hamilton Road near Barksdale Boulevard in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and intervals of sun today with a shower or thunderstorm at times. High 89. Partly cloudy, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.101.7 FM, 710 Keel. It is time for sports.
Two Shreveport guys have qualified for next week's U.S. Open. Sam Burns and Philip Barbary both survived what is called the longest day in golf to make the field for the upcoming major event. Several other LSU Tigers also made the field, including Louis Gagne and Jacob Bergeron. The Open starts June 14th. Former San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Dwight Clark has died after a short battle with ALS. Clark arguably has the biggest reception in franchise history, making the catch to win the 1981 NFC Championship game and push the team to their first Super Bowl. Clark was 61. The Washington Capitals are one win away from winning their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. The Caps beat down the Las Vegas Golden Knights last night 6-2. The series now goes back to Vegas for Game 5 Thursday night. And Yankee slugger Aaron Judge made a history last night, just not in a good way. Judge became the first player in Major League Baseball history to strike out 8 times in a doubleheader. Despite the dreadful performance, the Yankees were able to split the series with the Detroit Tigers, winning Game 1 7-4 before dropping Game 2 4-2. From the KEEL Sports Desk, I'm Matt Parker.
.101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. I mention that because from that aforementioned text line. Just wondering, why do you guys think the state elected a Democratic governor, i.e. John Bell? Just wondering, why do you guys think the state elected a Democratic governor? Because the Republicans had destroyed the state financially, and we don't forget. and I'm in the middle of responding, or because John Bell Edwards, twice a convention superdelegate for Barack Obama, portrayed himself as a conservative Republican, and the Republicans, in a fit of self-destruction virtually unheard of previously, ran the only candidate that a Democrat of any political leaning could have beaten, that being David Vitter.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see. Quickly, you had something yesterday or the day before, and this is sort of a running topic on the show, the topic of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on the political left, toxic masculinity means men are responsible, well, specifically white men are responsible for slavery and hatred and homophobia and bigotry and capitalism and unfairness and no justice, etc. Where if you're just like a regular guy like, oh, I don't know, Matt, or to a lesser degree me,
Mm-hmm.
that it's just like that men and women are different and
They are.
which is, by the way, well, I'm not sure you're one of
Mars and Venus.
One of the three things. There are three things you are not allowed to say in America publicly in 2015. And one of them is there are two genders. You're not allowed to say that. That will get you rung up in in politically correct America. Saying there are two genders it's verboten.
Oh, that's BS. There
No.
are two genders. I'll say it every day.
Okay. How many genders on Facebook?
I don't know.
37. It may be 38.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can't say that on a college campus. You can't go to a college campus
And say there are two genders?
And say there's two genders. Driver's licenses in California don't have two genders.
They don't have genders on them anymore?
They have more. They have other.
Other. On your
Yeah.
driver's license, you could have other.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the point being, one of the things in a politically correct world you are not allowed to say is there are two genders.
They don't ask that on employment forms anymore, do they? Your gender.
I don't know. I haven't applied for a job in a
They
long...
do, but it's optional. Not
The
that I would
point
know.
I was going to make was toxic masculinity being defined as all things terrible with America.
Yeah, hunting and fishing and
What did you see
beer drinking.
a couple of days ago that you showed me about? Do you remember?
Well, I sent you two articles. One was about the functionality of the male brain, which I don't know if you checked out. And the
I
other
have
one,
not read yet. What's that website? It's awesome, by the way.
The Art of Manliness.
Artofmanliness.com.
But they had a little interview with a biologist that broke down how men and women, female biologist, by the way, that broke down how testosterone causes the male brain to change, and there are two genders, and anyone that says different's an idiot.
Well, I'm not sure you're allowed to say that either. The point, yes, you're right.
Well, I'm just, some of this stuff is just too crazy. It kind of makes my head blow up.
Oh, I know what article you're talking about, though, specifically.
You
is how
said, come look over my shoulder.
How toxic masculinity ruined Deadpool 2 and made it, which, by the way, has made, 200 million stateside alone.
Is that a movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool from the comic book.
Okay, I'm
the
not
point
familiar.
being, see, all this started maybe about 6 or 8 weeks ago when Matt found the article. Well, I found it. I sent it to him. He found it. He sent it to me almost simultaneously.
It was weird.
And basically, it was that the University of Texas, the psychology department at University of Texas has designated toxic masculinity as a mental disorder.
Oh, boy.
But you have to remember how they define toxic masculinity. And toxic masculinity is defined as all the things. It's basically defined as being a guy.
Yeah.
But they extrapolate to being a guy as being responsible for all of the ills of not only America, but of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Unfairness, slavery, homophobia, racism of all kinds.
You better get your finger ready on the Jack Spring electric shock buster button, because I'm about to go crazy.
You are waiting frantically.
Well, basically, what these knuckleheads are doing are taking the core characteristics of masculinity, strength, courage, mastery, honor, those things that make a lot of men great, the Winston Churchills, the George Washingtons, people that formed this country, and saying that's a bad thing. If you're independent, if you have leadership, if you're powerful.
Pardon me, we got to go to break. You make a fascinating point, but let me wrap up this segment with a question. Do you think that just maybe these people are doing this on purpose?
Of course they are. They want equality.
What is their long-term goal? To destroy the United States of America, to bring down the society as we know it, because anything traditional is bad. And it's time to wipe the slate clean, and it's time to start over with their New World Order, where government runs everything. 29 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, talking about running stuff. Jay Darden, the Commissioner of Administration.
I wonder how many hours of sleep the big boy got.
Joins us in less than 10 minutes. Traffic update coming up right now. Here's Ruben.
Still keeping a close eye on that minor accident on Uri Drive northbound near East Washington Street. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The special session falls apart. No deal on taxes.
It is a sad day for the state of Louisiana. You saw a minority in the House clearly let politics take priority over people. Our state deserves better. Our state deserves better than what we saw tonight.
The governor says he will have to call lawmakers back into special session later this month to get something ready for the budget year that begins July 1st. Now, the bill did get opposition from key Republican leaders, House GOP Chairman Lance Harris and Speaker Taylor Barra, who questioned some of the taxes' legitimacy.
It's got multiple objects in the bill. I would question some of the constitutionality of those multiple objects.
The governor says he was embarrassed by the lack of cooperation by lawmakers. A teenager dies in a drowning accident in DeSoto Parish. 15-year-old Javier Simpson drowned in the Sabine River Monday afternoon while swimming with friends. An audit by the FAA uncovers several issues at the downtown airport. Matt Parker has that.
According to an audit by the FAA, Shreveport's downtown airport has been mismanaged for decades. The audit states that the airport is losing money because they aren't charging enough for hangars. The FAA also says that there are numerous violations at the facility which could affect their ability to get federal grant money. The Shreveport Airport Authority has until August 1st to submit a plan to turn the facility around. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
Widening I-20 from the Red River Bridge to I-49 and from Benton Road to I-220 are the top highway projects on the state's wish list for our region. The Jimmy Davis Bridge is on the B list. We asked Transportation Secretary Dr. Sean Wilson why I-20 ranks higher than other projects.
The interstate has to take priority over many other roads in terms of federal funds because of the match becomes 90-10. But also it moves a great number of cars, perhaps more than a road that is a four-lane road or a U.S. highway or something to that effect.
But Dr. Wilson did tell KEEL News the A list won't necessarily get done before projects on the B list. You can see the full list of priorities at KeelNews.com. Two major accidents Monday afternoon caused major delays and shut down part of I-20 West. A fatal crash near the Greenwood Road exit that left two people dead initially caused the interstate to close for a couple of hours. Then shortly after reopening, an incident at the state line caused another major shutdown. There, an accident led to an 18-wheeler catching fire. No injuries reported in that incident, and I-20 West is now back open. A Colorado baker who refused to craft a custom cake for same-sex wedding wins his case at the Supreme Court, but the opinion leaves bigger questions unanswered. More from Jared Halpern.
When the Colorado Civil Rights Commission concluded baker Jack Phillips violated an anti-discrimination law, it did so, Justice Anthony Kennedy writes, with a clear and impermissible hostility towards sincere religious beliefs. But Kennedy steered clear of offering guidance on other questions about anti-discrimination laws and religious exceptions, writing they must be resolved with further elaboration. Other cases are making their way through the courts, from florists and video producers who don't want to participate in same-sex weddings. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
More Louisiana residents will have the ability to treat ailments with medical marijuana. Despite some early objections, the bill gathered surprising bipartisan support in what was an otherwise contentious regular session. Governor John Bel Edwards signed the bill, which was authored by Baton Rouge Democratic Representative Ted James.
For the past 2 years, I've heard from countless families who were excited about the program only to learn that their condition didn't make them eligible. With this bill, I know that we are going to save life and make life more enjoyable.
It adds glaucoma, PTSD, Parkinson's, and other ailments to the list of illnesses eligible for medical marijuana. A Virginia man slurps down 40 dozen oysters to claim victory at this year's World Oyster Eating Championship in New Orleans. Darren Breeden ate 480 of the oysters in 8 minutes in the big oyster event. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. You hold your phone up high like Vulcan's torch.
We're going to have a great next hour and a half.
Went a little obscure on it there, didn't I, kid?
A little bit.
Well, see, when we used to live in Birmingham, Alabama, I don't know if you know this or not, there's like I don't, is it, what's the name of the mountain? Because it's not really a mountain, it's just a big hill. But they have this big cast iron statue of Vulcan, I think the Roman god Vulcan. And Vulcan is holding a torch. And it's always green. It's lighted up green unless there's a traffic fatality, and then it's red for 24 hours. And why that flashed into my head from like 5th grade, I don't know. Maybe I'm just digressing. That's how it works. So Erin holding up her phone like Vulcan's torch. And you did that for a reason? What was that?
A couple of things. Jay Darden is joining us next. He's the administrative commissioner. Alan Seabaugh is going to join us at 8:40 in about an hour from now. He apparently held things up last night late, so I guess he's just waking up.
We will also, we have Jim Donlin, insurance commissioner, just after 8 o'clock.
Seersucker. I'm betting seersucker suit.
But at some point in the 8 o'clock hour, maybe at 8:20, I don't know. We want to play the John Bell cut again, where he talks about how disappointed he is. Now, as I had said, you can find this video. It's about 4 minutes long of John Bell excoriating.
Yeah.
I mean, he's busting on the House of Representatives for not going along with the Senate budget. The two basic differences.
The video's at keelnews.com if you want to see
did
the
you put it
governor's
up there?
reaction. Yeah, it's up.
Okay, now when you're doing this, remember, every time John Bell says disappointed,
take a shot of something.
What he really means is, I want to choke a Republican.
Yeah.
But specifically, if he says disappointed or saddened or dismayed.
Yeah, it's Carr. Choke a Republican.
If you just... If you get you a shot glass, if you don't have to do anything important today,
shoot some Baileys.
Hey,
you know,
let's not endorse morning drinking before work, especially during the morning commute.
If you just want to make, a morning drinking game out of it, if he says disappointed, dismayed, et cetera, et
shoot
cetera.
your coffee, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly right. You will be soused in about 15 minutes. Commissioner of Administration, Jay Darden, he's coming up just a couple of seconds away. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Yo, Ruben, what you got, kid?
Still keeping a close eye on that minor accident on Uri Drive northbound near East Washington Street. And we have some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
.101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. The Keel app, always a free download, presented by Office Furniture Source. And Erin says, shout out to everybody in Baton Rouge listening this morning. We're getting a ton of texts.
Yeah, they're listening on the Keel app. We appreciate everybody listening because I know a lot of them headed back.
Office Furniture Source.
Jay Darden, Commissioner of Administration, burning the midnight oil, huh?
Let me phrase it this way, Mr. J. First of all, welcome back to Keel. There's an old saying, an old business saying, if nobody's happy with a deal, that means it was probably a good deal for everybody. I don't think anybody's happy this morning, but there's no deal. So how you feeling? What's on the horizon?
Well, that's right. The one thing missing is the compromise, that where everybody gives a little and nobody's completely happy. That compromise did not happen. So we've got a mess on our hands, and the legislature will be back in yet another special session. This one that'll cost the taxpayers more money because legislators will be drawing their per diem. We hope to finish by June 4th, which was the regular session ending date, but they didn't do that. So we're going to be back to talk about revenue now. The budget did pass, and we obviously haven't had a chance to review everything in it yet. We think we have a pretty good feel for what it looks like, but we'll talk about that today. The budget passed, but the revenue to support the budget did not pass. So you have a situation where the budget has passed, protects the Department of Health. So our whole issues related to Medicaid and related to private partner hospitals are covered in the budget. That's about the only thing that's covered. Everything else is greatly at risk and greatly reduced because the money was not found to make up the shortfall. So we're talking about the Department of Corrections and Department of Children and Family Services, Juvenile Justice, cops, higher ed, sheriff's housing.
Doesn't the budget though have the third of the penny extended?
No,
it does not.
That did not pass either. That measure didn't pass, and the real vote was on the amendment that would have raised the 1/3 of a penny to 1/2 of a penny, which would have basically taken care of our problems. It would have still been significant cuts, but we were prepared to deal with those cuts. But that fell short. Required 70 votes. It got 64, and then actually I think a couple of votes have changed after the fact, but basically it was reported as 63 and it needed 70.
As it stands right now, the Senate version was, just to bring everybody up to speed, the Senate version was half a penny for 7 years. The House version, a third of a penny for 5. Do you see a compromise in those two positions at this point?
Well, frankly, I think there's going to have to be a compromise. There's too much damage being done, and the public will see that as these next few days unfold, and we talk about the magnitude of the cuts to all of these areas and the consequences of not finding a reasonable solution like the one that was on the table last night that had very, very broad-based bipartisan support. I mean, this compromise proposal came out of the Senate with 32 or 33 votes out of 39. It was truly the compromise from both houses. When it went back to the House, though, the 70 votes were not there, and it's just very, very unfortunate because this was a very reasonable compromise that reduced the overall burden on taxpayers of Louisiana by well over $400 million. It cut approximately $200 million overall out of what the budget would have otherwise looked like, and it provided adequate funding for the things that everyone says is important to the state. So these legislators who wouldn't agree on this compromise now are going to, hopefully they're going to hear from people that this is unacceptable. This is the state of Louisiana is better than this, as the governor said last night, well after midnight.
Does the governor sign this budget?
We'll talk about that today. He made no announcement last night as to what he does. Obviously, it'll have to be reviewed, and if it is signed, there are things that potentially could be the subject of veto. But I'm not sure that will be the case either. We just haven't had time to talk about it and review everything. We'll start that process this morning.
And what would be the difference between calling another special session without signing the budget and or the governor signing the budget and then calling another special session to fix that budget? Is there a difference between those two, and can either of those be done?
Well, if the budget is signed, then we know what the spending for the state is going to look like. We will have a budget, and the way the budget passed, you have what's called above-the-line funding, which means it's funded fully, like the Department of Health. Everything else was placed in the budget below the line, meaning it was subject to the appropriation of additional revenue. So if you have the budget signed, then you will know what the budget of the state is going to look like, and the discussion will be, what about these things that are, quote, below the line? How much money are we going to raise to fund them?
In your mind, in the governor's mind, which of those two options would be the simpler, the easier of the two?
Well, I'll answer that question when the governor makes up his mind what he's going to do. As I said, he didn't make an announcement last night as to what would happen with the budget. We'll review it and then decide in the next several days what that situation will be.
Got this question for you from Dr. Jim Henderson. What should students faced with a default on TOPS do today?
They ought to go to the legislative website and identify those members of the House of Representatives that refuse to vote for the compromise, and call them, write them, email them, come see them, and tell them this is unacceptable, because TOPS is at risk. I mean, it's funded, I think, at 70% based upon the underlying budget that is available to the state. So if they want the additional, I believe it's 30% based upon 70% funding, they need to let their voices be heard. The same thing for people who are advocates of juvenile justice, of the Department of Children and Family Services, which is foster care and child abuse situations. Those who are interested in corrections, making sure we have adequate correction workers to take care of folks who are in prison. Sheriffs, because sheriffs are keeping thousands of state prisoners, and they are not adequately funded to maintain that service to us. And if they turn those inmates back to the state of Louisiana, it will cost us significantly more, and it will overcrowd our already crowded prisons.
It sounds like it's a game of chicken between the governor and some of the House Republicans. We're going to do this. Now you go cut off SNAP benefits. You go into LSU football. Let's see if you'll really do it, Governor Jay Darden. Let's see if you guys are big boys. Is that kind of what we're looking at here?
If there's a game of chicken underway, it's between the vast majority of this legislature and the governor against the minority of legislators. 63 representatives wanted this compromise. 32 or 33 senators wanted this compromise. It's a very small minority, relatively speaking, of House members who have refused, who have drawn the line in the sand and say, no, we're not going to vote for a half a penny. We're going to insist on it being a third of a penny. I mean, that seems pretty ridiculous, and it ought to most people who are looking at this. It makes that much of a difference, though, in the state's budget.
You know, Jay, we had talked about, I had asked you, I think we had asked the governor last time he was on, and a number of state legislators at the beginning of this just wrapped up legislative session. And it was basically that what's going to change? The governor's position hasn't changed that much about what he thinks the state needs. The legislator, the ideological makeup of the legislature hasn't changed. So why does the governor think that anything's going to be different this time? And you had said because of the reality of the situation. Now we've ended another special session, and we're right where we were. And the governor's going to call another special session.
Well, the governor made it very clear that he was willing to compromise, and he did. From the very get-go, the governor said we needed $648 million to really do what the state needed. He compromised. The vast majority of legislators compromised. What we hope is different is we will now specifically see what those minority members of the legislature, and I'm talking about in numbers, decided was not important enough to fund. And so if this budget stands as it is, then we'll know exactly what is at risk, and we'll be able to quantify what's going to happen if this money isn't raised. That's the job I'll start on in a few minutes, to try and figure out exactly how we would live with this amount of revenue and what cuts would be necessitated, how much of TOPS will be reduced, how much will higher ed not get funded, how much will sheriffs get for per diem, how much will we use to fund corrections, and so on and so on. And we'll start talking now about very real specific numbers, and legislators can listen to their constituents and decide if it's worth voting for a half a penny. The solutions aren't going to change. Now, there was an effort yesterday at the last minute to try and increase a bunch of business taxes, and Representative Harris couldn't muster any support for that in lieu of going from a third to a half of a penny. So my sense is we'll have the same debate once again at the taxpayers' expense. And by the way, the legislative budget passed fully funded with no reductions at all. No reductions in the legislative budget. Mm-hmm. The judicial budget passed with an increase. The executive budget did not pass. So we have the governor will also have to look at the legislative budget and the judicial budget, because that factors into the money that's available and the money that has been raised. And the question is, how much of the money that's been raised will have to go to fully fund those budgets which have passed. Our
last 30 seconds, State Representative Alan Seabaugh from Shreveport is being hailed a hero by some for his delaying tactics. Your opinion of what happened at the last minute last night?
Very unfortunate. The House wanted to have an opportunity to take another shot at that bill once they saw what the vote looked like, and the efforts at the end of the day were just absolutely outrageous and insulting to the people of this state, forcing them to yet another special session to address the same problem we've been talking about for a year and a half. This time it'll be at more expense to the taxpayers, with more per diem being paid to legislators.
Jay Darden, Commissioner of Administration, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank y'all.
751, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Time for traffic. Ruben is here.
Still keeping a close eye on that major backed up traffic on I-220 westbound. Starting at the Cross Lake Bridge, it's backed up past North Market right now. And we're still looking at some traffic delays on Uri Drive near East Washington Street due to a minor accident. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
7 away from 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel Sports.
2 Shreveport guys have qualified for next week's U.S. Open. Sam Burns and Philip Barbary both survived what is called the longest day in golf to make the field for the upcoming major event. Several other LSU Tigers also made the field, including Louis Gagne and Jacob Bergeron. The Open starts June 14th. Former San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Dwight Clark has died after a short battle with ALS. Clark arguably has the biggest reception in franchise history, making the catch to win the 1981 NFC Championship game and push the team to their first Super Bowl. Clark was 61. The Washington Capitals are 1 win away from winning their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. The Caps beat down the Las Vegas Golden Knights last night 6-2. The series now goes back to Vegas for Game 5 Thursday night. And Yankee slugger Aaron Judge made history last night, just not in a good way. Judge became the first player in Major League Baseball history to strike out 8 times in a doubleheader. Despite the dreadful performance, the Yankees were able to split the series with the Detroit Tigers, winning Game 1 7-4 before dropping Game 2 4-2. From the Keel Sports Desk, I'm Matt Parker.
Season is here. This is Insurance Commissioner
.101.7 FM, 710 Keel.
Just tell everyone to stop. I'm not running for political office. I have no interest in running for political office. Stop all the rumor milling.
Sounds a lot like what Trump said right before he started to run for it.
Not happening. I love my job. I'd have to quit the job.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
No.
Couldn't do both.
The equal time laws have changed.
I couldn't do both. I couldn't work at 4:30 in the morning.
Everybody else on the city council has another job.
Well, I know, but to campaign right and do it right, I wouldn't want to keep both full-time jobs.
You have a 50,000-watt radio station. You have a 100,000-watt radio station. You have an internet. That would be your campaign voice.
Do you really think the other candidates would allow that? They'd allow me to stay on the radio?
Like I said.
And think that was okay?
They can't kick you off the radio. The question is, how often would you have to let them on?
I let them on whenever they want now anyway.
I wouldn't let them on.
Well, there you go.
Look, I got to tell you, I've been thinking about this.
You want a new job, don't you?
No, it's no, because I missed my nap.
My nap is a priority. I can't be a city councilman and still get a nap.
Do you think there's never been a city councilman nod off during the middle of a meeting?
Oh yeah,
on a Monday?
all the time.
You got to go. Matt's having a fit over there. 7:57. Insurance Commissioner Jim Donelon just after 8 o'clock. Right now, here's Hannity on Keel.
Waking up on the right side. This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
I actually have in front of me an article, and this was written on October the 28th, 2016. And the website is called Mediaite, written by Chris White. So it's Friday, January 20th, 2017. Hillary Clinton sworn in as the 45th president of the United States. She beats Donald Trump. And then they say, can Hillary Clinton pardon herself? Well, the short answer is she could certainly try and may well get away with it. It's not a matter of getting away with it. But when it appeared before the media that Hillary, the email thing is real, she committed crimes that Comey and Strzok and Page and others literally rigged that whole investigation.
From coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, it's the Sean Hannity Show.
Every business needs great people, and the better way to find them
Something better than posting your job online and just praying for the right people to see it. ZipRecruiter knew there was a smarter way, so they built a platform that finds the right job candidates for you. ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, and invites them to apply to your job. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. And ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. They even spotlight the strongest applications you receive, so you never miss a great match. Goodbye Post and Pray. Hello ZipRecruiter. The smartest way to hire.
People from businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. We're so confident ZipRecruiter will get you better results than anywhere else. We'll let you try it free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Keeping an eye right now on some heavy backed up traffic on I-20 westbound, starting at Spring and Market. It's backed up past Benton Road right now. And we're still keeping an eye on that minor accident on Uri Drive near East Washington Street. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
It's rainy. It's 66, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, 8 o'clock, Fox News.
Breaking news.
687-ROAD.
It's rainy. It's 66.
7 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.
Free past 8 o'clock. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Miss Erin down yonder's got local news getting ready now.
The special session is a wrap, and they didn't get the job done. We'll talk more about that. Tragedy in DeSoto Parish. A teenager has drowned And if you'd like to help out at the dog park, well, Saturday might be your day.
Commissioner of Administration, Commissioner of Insurance.
Yes.
Jim Donlin joins us in just a couple of seconds. As always, I'm sure he'll have good news. State Representative Alan Seabaugh joins us about he's either the most beloved or most hated man in the state.
Yeah, pretty much.
Depending on your political affiliation, he's about 45 minutes away. Plus, Fletcher. No, I just got Fletcher on the brain.
Yeah, Parky.
Yeah, exactly. Matt has sports. Fletcher's out of town. Traffic and weather coming up this hour right here on KEEL.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Governor John Bel Edwards says he will call lawmakers back to Baton Rouge for a third special session this year after things didn't go well last night.
Obviously, I am extremely disappointed in what was just a disaster that played out in the House of Representatives that is attributable to a minority of the House members and to leadership that is anything but.
Now, New Orleans Senator Karen Carter Peterson laid the blame for the session's failure at the 40 House members' feet.
We all have to own what a few people in the House of Representatives did because they're selfish. They are callous in their disregard for human beings.
The governor says he was embarrassed by the lack of cooperation in the legislature. You can hear the governor's full remarks at KEELnews.com. According to an audit by the FAA, Shreveport's downtown airport has been mismanaged for decades. The audit states the airport is losing money because they don't charge enough for hangars. A teenager dies in a drowning accident in DeSoto Parish. Matt Parker with that.
15-year-old Javier Simpson drowned in the Sabine River Monday afternoon while swimming with friends. According to the DeSoto Parish Sheriff's Office, the tragic event happened shortly after Simpson jumped off a boat dock on the riverfront. Logansport High School will hold a prayer vigil in honor of Simpson tonight at 6 p.m. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Spar and the city of Shreveport hosting a cleanup Saturday at the dog park. The event starts at 7 a.m. with the focus on cleaning up and improving the park after flooding from the Red River. Volunteers will plant new flowers, clean, and fix any number of problems. Two major crashes Monday afternoon caused big-time delays and shut down part of I-20 West. A fatal accident near the Greenwood Road exit left 2 people dead. It initially caused the freeway to close for a couple of hours. Then shortly after reopening, an incident at the state line caused another major shutdown. Funding for highway projects in our state limited. Much of the money is used as leverage to bring in federal dollars. DOTD has a list of priorities for the mega projects, and widening I-20 from the Red River to I-49 is on the A list, while a new Jimmy Davis Bridge is on the B list. Transportation Secretary Dr. Sean Wilson tells KEEL News about those priorities.
Our goal is to do as much as we would be able to do with the funds we have. And remember, this A and B list is $10.6 billion, which is huge, and it has to happen over time. You can't just spend $10.6 billion and no one will be able to move because of the construction. But that's the reality. It's a pretty comprehensive list.
But Dr. Wilson says the A list won't necessarily get done before projects on the B list. You can see the full priority list at KEELnews.com. Robert Smith Jr. arrested by Caddo deputies for allegedly having a sexual relationship with a teenage boy. Smith and the young boy allegedly exchanged sexual text messages and nude photos. The Secretary of State's office has been warning the public that Louisiana has aging voting machines that could fall apart, and now we have a price tag for replacing them, $60 million. The feds have offered to chip in with nearly $6 million to get the process started. Secretary of State Kyle Ardoin says it's not going to happen overnight.
At best, we're going to have $10 million moving into the new fiscal year. Our real goal is to phase this in over a 5-year period, replacing those at least in 5 parishes.
Ardoin says that means thousands of machines will have to be repaired or replaced. Sarah Gilbert says even though she lost a job because of it, she supports ABC's decision to pull the plug on Roseanne. Gilbert says the network did what it had to do after Roseanne Barr's racist tweet. 2 Shreveport guys qualify for next week's U.S. Open. Sam Burns and Philip Barbary both survived what's called the longest day in golf to make the field for the upcoming major event. Several other LSU Tigers also made the field. The event starts June 14th. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Ten past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic time. Messy Tuesday morning. Here's Ruben.
Still keeping a close eye on that major accident on I-20 eastbound near Diamond Jacks Boulevard. And we have down traffic lights on Mansfield Road as well as West Berkcoons Industrial Loop. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Good morning. It's 12 past 8 o'clock. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. The KEEL app is always a free download from Office Furniture Source. Let's see. Earlier this morning, we had Commissioner of Administration Jay Darden. Matt wants to be Commissioner of Baseball. Let me see if I can get all this commissioner stuff right. The Commissioner of Insurance, Jim Donlin, is here. Mr. Jim, welcome back to KEEL.
Glad to be. Thank you so much, Bob.
Jim, I was watching the storm rolling into the Gulf Coast Memorial Day, and a lot of my friends were down there vacationing. And I thought about this, and you're on your storm tour now, but I thought about it later, and because I just redid my whole house, and I wondered if I am properly covered for. We don't think about coverage for hurricanes up this way. We're in a bad storm today. If it's remnants of a hurricane, am I still covered?
We are addressing that in an advisory letter this week because there's a new thing in the weather world. It's subtropical storms.
Uh-oh.
And insurance policies have named storm deductibles, hurricane deductibles, wind deductibles, all of the above. And it can vary, and it does vary from one company to another, what language they use. And this new language of subtropical storm, we're saying, is neither a hurricane, a named storm, nor, well, it is covered by a wind deductible if you have that general language.
Well, what is the purpose of the insurance companies doing that?
Oh.
I don't mean this to be cynical, but are they doing it out of just complete benevolence?
No, they're not doing it out of benevolence, and they do have to file with us, and they do file with us a reduction in premium that is actuarially justified by the reduction in coverage that comes with a named storm deductible. And it's such a timely discussion for us to have. Most folks are unaware of the fact that they even have such a deductible in their policy. 40% of the market, homeowners market statewide, has a 5% named storm deductible. That's the State Farm and Allstate policies. Statewide, they have a 5% named storm deductible.
What's the 5% mean?
It's not 5% of your damage when the tree falls on your house and you have to get your roof repaired. It's 5% of your insured value. Average home is insured for $200,000 in Louisiana. That means you're out of pocket the first $10,000 for that new roof that the named storm or hurricane or wind damage
Is that
caused.
something that policy to policy is negotiable if you're willing to pay more, or is that just standard?
Yeah, can you beef it up?
It depends. Some companies will, State Farm will not. And in fact, they made a concession that I insisted upon when they first, 3-4 years ago, went to a 5% named storm deductible, of offering their existing policyholders the option to buy back down to a all perils deductible only. And some did, most did not.
Let me ask you this, because we have this big debate about, was the flooding caused by the hurricane or was it flooding, and then you're not covered?
That's right.
Who makes that last call?
Yeah.
Well, generally that call is made in our state, unlike coastal states with coastfront property. We do not have very much coastfront. We have marshes down along our coast, but in Mississippi and Florida and others, they have coastfront property that when a Katrina comes through or an Ike, just washes down to the slab, everything away. In our case, the floodwaters rise and they leave a flood mark on the wall, and anything below that flood mark is flood, and above that is generally wind-driven rain, and that's covered by your homeowner's policy.
What if it dumps so much rain on a region like ours on the Red River, which then floods its banks and floods homes?
Flood damage. That's rising water, and that rising water is excluded from your homeowner's or commercial property policy, but it is covered, of course, by a flood policy. And that's my other message.
Who should get flood policies?
Everybody in the state of Louisiana, wherever they live. And the message is more important in this corner of our state than anywhere else, because less than 10% of the residences in the Caddo-Bossier area are insured for flood. Statewide, 24%. New Orleans metro 4-parish area, which has experienced every 5 years a 100-year flood event, has 45% of the residences insured for flood.
10% here? Why is
Less
it so low?
than 10%, because people mistakenly think we're high and dry, we're not at risk, I don't need flood insurance.
Let me make this point, and then you can continue. Is that in a world of insurance where everybody thinks, oh my God, it's so much, it's a pain, honestly, ugh, there is no better deal.
No question.
I mean, it's downright cheap.
The federal government substantially subsidizes the National Flood Insurance Program. They do not charge actuarial rates for the policies.
I mean, I think mine is like $12 a month or something.
For the typical home in Louisiana, it's $60 a month in a low-risk area. For a $200,000 home, typically is $60 a month.
Obviously, I need a better house.
Best, no, you're paying more than you think you are. Best insurance by that a property owner can make anywhere in our state. No question about it.
Can you hang around and
Absolutely.
will you be able to talk about what lawmakers did last night a little bit?
A little bit from what I read online, but no more.
I mean, how it's going to impact your department, I guess.
I'm happy to say it has not impacted us at
And
all.
also how the cost of automobile insurance in the state is the bottom's about to fall out and its rates are going to fall 60-75%.
Yeah, and
I love that.
And I know you also want to
just
tell
kinda-
me why I should have gone upstairs in my house more often than I did.
18 past 8 o'clock. 101's. It took me a second
I know it did.
remember that one.
He'll know. We can share that with him.
19 past 8, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Here's traffic. Here's Ruben.
Major accident on I-49 southbound near Kings Highway, and we're still keeping an eye on the down traffic lights on Burt Coons Industrial Loop and Mansfield Road. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. A shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Nineteen past 8 o'clock. Keel Sports.
Two Shreveport guys have qualified for next week's U.S. Open. Sam Burns and Philip Barbary both survived what is called the longest day in golf.
Past 8 o'clock, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. In studio for a little bit longer is the state's Commissioner of Insurance, Jim Donlin. Okay, just kind of, you might want to just take the mic off the stand, lean back, and listen to the story.
Okay, Jim. I have a 2-story townhouse. I own it. I've been there 15 years, whatever. Don't go upstairs much anymore because that was my kids' room. Well, the hot water heater's in the attic. The hot water heater broke, and it leaked.
This is going to be so awesome.
It leaked up in the upstairs. I never noticed it. Didn't notice it until it starts leaking down into the kitchen, the first floor. Then you go upstairs and you find there's lots of damage up there. Not covered by insurance. Yeah, lean in there, Jim Donlin, by that microphone. Not covered because I should have gone upstairs more often than I did.
Oh, you should have. Is that over with, or it's still ongoing?
It's within a year, so statute of limitations?
Call us.
Oh,
Call
really?
Us. Absolutely. Call us.
But they said it'd been ongoing damage.
Don't tell me who your insurer is. Just call the office
covered.
And file a claim. I can't say it should have been. It might have been. Maybe even should have been.
Okay.
So let's look at that.
Oh.
Let's look at that.
You got some juice, huh?
I do have. I hold their license in my hand.
Do you?
And it's a great story for your listeners.
Okay.
Because we are the Better Business Bureau for insurance.
Okay.
For all forms, claims adjusters, agents, companies, all of it is subject to our jurisdiction. We have more clout than a Better Business Bureau because we have an online web service where we document complaints against every license holder and the number of valid complaints against every license holder, as every other state does, coordinated through the National Association of Insurance Commissioners in Kansas City, who keeps track through what we call our system of such complaints. So when we get a complaint and we look into it, we get the attention of the company. We can take it all the way up to suspending or revoking their license.
I'm going to get my people with your people then, okay?
You do that, and your listeners should do that as well whenever they have a concern about an insurance issue.
This is the interesting part of this conversation. You just looked at the state commissioner of insurance, and basically you said, oh, you think you can help? Let's talk auto insurance for a second or two.
Before we do,
go ahead.
800-259-5300.
Okay.
www.ldi, Louisiana Department of Insurance.la.gov, 800-259-5300 for any such complaint.
Awesome.
Auto insurance.
What's the state of auto insurance in Louisiana? Is there any chance that it could get any better at any time in the near future?
There is. And
if we're going to ban drivers south of I-10.
Well, that would help. But the real problem with our statewide rate and our ranking, which has been a top 10 for decades, is the fact that in the metro areas of New Orleans and Baton Rouge, in the metro New Orleans area, rates on average are 25% higher than the statewide average. Baton Rouge, 15% higher than the statewide average.
So people in Shreveport and Mosher, people up here can take a little solace in knowing
they're not the problem.
And
they're
down south,
it's much worse.
They're getting a bigger bite of their paychecks going for car insurance.
Indeed, and for property insurance because of their coastal exposure. So there are good things about being in the insurance market in the Shreveport area, but back to auto insurance and the crisis, nationwide crisis that exists, caused by distracted driving. Not only is it spiking auto insurance rates in every state in America for the past 5 years, it's also killing motorists in record numbers. The all-time high record for highway deaths was set last year.
So basically, I'm holding my phone up. This little thing in your mind is a
killer.
bad thing in the car.
Lawmakers tried to outlaw that, and it didn't happen.
They did not succeed. I rented a car recently in Albuquerque and drove to Santa Fe, and there were billboards everywhere. Distracted driving is a crime, and you'll be punished. Warning drivers. Killed the record number of motorists last year, which broke the previous record set the year before in 2016, which broke the record that had been set in the early 60s before seatbelts, airbags even existed. And that had been on the drop the fatalities, highway fatalities, until those cell phones came along.
Wow.
One last thing. Legislative session wrapped up last night. How is your budget going to hold up?
Our budget is fine because this governor has respected the fact that we are a totally self-generated operation. This year we are spending $31 million on 222 employees. The year I took office 12 years ago, we spent $30 million on 275 employees. And even after self-funding that entire operation, we're generating for the general fund a profit of $7 million this year, over and above our operation.
So you cost the state of Louisiana
nothing.
Goose egg.
The companies we regulate pay our operation.
Well, why don't you give some of your money to the state?
Well, we gave we will give $7 million at the end of this year. We used to give more than that. I have been weaning the state off of that because, frankly, if it's a tax, they need to get 2/3 vote and put more tax. We have one of the highest premium taxes in America already, so I would fight that. But if they want a tax, it takes a 2/3 vote. Do that. Don't squeeze the operation of a regulated entity that's being paid for by the people that are regulated by it for more profit to fund the general fund. The previous administration did that. Frankly, it allowed us to downsize to the right size for our operation by getting rid of some of the waste in our operation that I inherited, and we're right sized now, still generating a profit. But I will reduce that profit again next year because we should be a self-supporting operation, but not a profit source for the general fund.
Jim Donlin, Commissioner of Insurance, thanks for your time this morning.
Great to see you as always,
Please
sir.
give my regards to Alan Seabaugh. I am in the half. Truthfully, he carries my complex technical legislation each year because he's very smart and very effective in articulating those complex issues.
And he's coming up at 8:40. We'll have a chat with Alan Seabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Jim. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, 29 past 8. Ruben's here.
Looking right now at 2 accidents on I-20, one on I-20 eastbound near Diamond Jacks Boulevard, one on I-20 westbound between the Houghton and Fillmore exits. We also have down traffic lights on Mansfield Road as well as Burt Coons Industrial Loop. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The special session falls apart. No deal on taxes.
It is a sad day for the state of Louisiana. You saw a minority in the House clearly let politics take priority over people. Our state deserves better. Our state deserves better than what we saw tonight.
The governor says he will have to call lawmakers back into special session later this month to get something ready for the budget year that begins July 1st. Now, the bill did get opposition from key Republican leaders, House GOP Chairman Lance Harris and Speaker Taylor Barra, who questioned some of the taxes' legitimacy.
It's got multiple objects in the bill. I would question some of the constitutionality of those multiple objects.
The governor says he was embarrassed by the lack of cooperation by lawmakers. A teenager dies in a drowning accident in DeSoto Parish. 15-year-old Javier Simpson drowned in the Sabine River Monday afternoon while swimming with friends. An audit by the FAA uncovers several issues at the downtown airport. Matt Parker has that.
According to an audit by the FAA, Shreveport's downtown airport has been mismanaged for decades. The audit states that the airport is losing money because they aren't charging enough for hangars. The FAA also says that there are numerous violations at the facility which could affect their ability to get federal grant money. The Shreveport Airport Authority has until August 1st to submit a plan to turn the facility around. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Widening I-20 from the Red River Bridge to I-49 and from Benton Road to I-220 are the top highway projects on the state's wish list for our region. The Jimmy Davis Bridge is on the B list. We asked Transportation Secretary Dr. Sean Wilson why I-20 ranks higher than other projects.
The interstate has to take priority over many other roads in terms of federal funds because of the match becomes 90-10. But also, it moves a great number of cars, perhaps more than a road that is a four-lane road or a U.S. highway or something to that effect.
But Dr. Wilson did tell KEEL News the A list won't necessarily get done before projects on the B list. You can see the full list of priorities at KEELnews.com. Two major accidents Monday afternoon caused major delays and shut down part of I-20 West. A fatal crash near the Greenwood Road exit that left two people dead initially caused the interstate to close for a couple of hours. Then shortly after reopening, an incident at the state line caused another major shutdown. There, an accident led to an 18-wheeler catching fire. No injuries reported in that incident, and I-20 West is now back open. A Colorado baker who refused to craft a custom cake for same-sex wedding wins his case at the Supreme Court, but the opinion leaves bigger questions unanswered. More from Jared Halpern.
When the Colorado Civil Rights Commission concluded baker Jack Phillips violated an anti-discrimination law, it did so, Justice Anthony Kennedy writes, with a clear and impermissible hostility towards sincere religious beliefs. But Kennedy steered clear of offering guidance on other questions about anti-discrimination laws and religious exceptions, writing they must be resolved with further elaboration. Other cases are making their way through the courts, from florists and video producers who don't want to participate in same-sex weddings. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
More Louisiana residents will have the ability to treat ailments with medical marijuana. Despite some early objections, the bill gathered surprising bipartisan support in what was an otherwise contentious regular session. Governor John Bel Edwards signed the bill, which was authored by Baton Rouge Democratic Representative Ted James.
For the past 2 years, I've heard from countless families who were excited about the program only to learn that their condition didn't make them eligible. With this bill, I know that we are going to save life and make life more enjoyable.
It adds glaucoma, PTSD, Parkinson's, and other ailments to the list of illnesses eligible for medical marijuana. A Virginia man slurps down 40 dozen oysters to claim victory at this year's World Oyster Eating Championship in New Orleans. Darren Breeden ate 480 of the oysters in 8 minutes in the big oyster event. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
1017 FM, 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 23 from 9 o'clock. State Representative Alan Seabaugh joins us in just a couple of seconds. He'll straighten it out. He'll tell us what happened and what didn't happen on the House floor last night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we talked to Jay Darden yesterday, he basically implied was, okay, here's where we are. The Senate version on the sales tax was a half a penny for 7 years.
Right.
The House version was a third of a penny for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked to Jay Darden yesterday, what I inferred from what he said was, in his mind, in the governor's mind, there was no moving off of the Senate version.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So evidently there were a lot of those in the House, including the highly noble, in my mind, Alan Seabaugh, who will join us momentarily, who didn't feel as though the House was going to move off of their version.
Right.
Was I imagining this morning when Jay said maybe now there's space to move between?
He's dreaming.
You think so?
He's dreaming.
I don't know. Where he was on, we'll see. Mr. Seabaugh is next. 839, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Here's traffic. Here's Ruben.
Looking right now at 2 accidents on I-20, one on I-20 eastbound near Diamond Jacks Boulevard, one on I-20 westbound between the Houghton and Fillmore exits. We also have down traffic lights on Mansfield Road as well as Burt Coons Industrial Loop. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.1017 FM, 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. It's 19 away from 9 o'clock. State Representative Alan Seabaugh is here. Hey, Mr. Allen, welcome back to Keel. How are you this morning? A little tired, perhaps?
I'm a little tired. I'm already back in Shreveport. I drove home after the vote last night.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay, so tell everybody, well, it is over. Explain to everybody, because this morning you are the hero of many, and you are frowned upon by a number at the governor's mansion. Tell everybody what you did and why.
Here's one of them. I want to comment real quick on what Jay Darden said earlier. He kept using the word compromise. He kept referring to the compromise bill. And just to lay the foundation, here's where we were. The governor wanted $650 million. The Republicans wanted to give him zero. He keeps referring to the $650 million bill as the compromise. That wasn't the compromise. That was the governor's My Way or the Highway bill. Republicans offered a compromise, which was a $400 million tax increase. Now, I voted against it, but it was a Republican-authored, predominantly pushed by Republican bill. That was the compromise. That was carried by Representative Lance Harris. So the Republicans offered $400 million, and the governor said, I'll veto it. It's $650 million or nothing. So he got nothing. What happened last night is the Republican bill came up with the $400 million, and it was killed conservative Republicans voted no, and the Democrats all voted no because they wanted their My Way or the Highway bill.
Oh, boy.
Well, then that one came up about 20 minutes later, and it failed. It got 63 votes. It needed 70. It failed. And what I did was about 5 minutes left in the session, they tried to bring it up again for a second bite at the apple. They had already had their chance. The Republican bill had failed. The Democrat bill had failed. The will of the body had been made fairly clear in the third session in a row that we don't want to raise taxes. So I went to the floor. I objected to bringing the bill up for a second vote, and I effectively filibustered until midnight so that they couldn't get a second bite at the apple.
What'd you talk about? Did you tell jokes? I didn't get to. The video is freezing on the website, so I'm waiting to see it.
No, I didn't say anything profound, and I wish I had, to be honest with you. All I said was we've already voted on this bill that didn't pass. There's no reason to vote on it again. I tried to take questions. Nobody wanted to ask me a question. Everybody was yelling, but I wasn't going to give up the floor until I knew it was midnight. And then when I finally walked away from the floor, I had a couple of procedural moves that I was going to do before we got to the vote anyway. So we weren't going to vote. When I went to the floor, I had plenty of ammunition to run the clock out, and that was my intention because the people of Louisiana don't want a tax increase. I've heard it over and over and over and over. And just so you know, nothing's going to close. This is either the biggest or the second biggest budget in Louisiana history. We have enough money.
But you're going to cut TOPS by 30%. You're going to cut health care. You're going to cut higher ed by $96 million. That's going to hurt people, isn't it?
You got to talk to the governor about that. We appropriated enough money. His priority was putting it all on Medicaid expansion, so that's where he put it. There is enough money to fund all of that. You could, if you look at numbers, you could cut the Department of Hospitals by 1%, and fully fund TOPS, higher ed, and everything else that everybody's talking about. But the governor absolutely refuses to take even 1% off of health, LDH, because that's where the Medicaid expansion is. And he is going to live or die on Medicaid expansion, which he did completely unilaterally without the legislature. They're putting people that make enough money that shouldn't be on Medicaid, they're putting them on Medicaid, so people that are truly needy can't get the medical care that they deserve, and it's bankrupting the state, and he refuses to admit it.
You know, Mr. Allen, you had mentioned a couple of seconds ago what you used the term the will of the body in reference to the House and what happened the last few days. We had Jay Darden on earlier this morning, and he said he basically, I know you'll be stunned by this, he disagreed with you, saying it's that the majority of the Senate and the House of Representatives wanted to go with the governor's half penny 7 years, and it's this sort of conclave of what I call those people of no in the House of Representatives, yourself, the Hortons, etc., who are screwing things up. What do you say to that?
Well, it takes 2/3 vote to pass a tax bill. And it takes 70 votes out of 105 members to pass a tax increase, and the closest they could get was 63. So call it whatever you want, but what the Constitution says is it takes 2/3 vote to raise taxes, and they couldn't get 2/3 vote for the Democrat bill, and the Republicans couldn't get 2/3 vote for the Republican bill. So there was no, the Republican bill was the compromise. We wanted zero, and we're willing to offer $400 million, which is more than half. That was the compromise. Since John Bell has been in office, he has not compromised $1 or 1% on anything at any phase of any of the negotiations. It has been my way or the highway from the get-go. His first year, he got his way. Since then, the House has said, no, we're not going to raise taxes because our constituents back home made it very clear to us that they don't want taxes. I mean, look, Louisiana, a study just came out, said Louisiana has the worst economy of any state in the United States. Our economy has actually shrunk. Our GDP has shrunk 2 years in a row. Yet our government has expanded grown by 5% per year. This is, again, it's either the biggest or the second biggest budget in history. The rate of state spending is going up and up and up, while the population is going down. The economy is shrinking. Our GDP is going down. And every economic indicator shows that the state is going backward, but the governor refuses to learn the lesson of history and still thinks he can tax the state into prosperity. It has never worked anywhere, and it's devastating the state of Louisiana.
Does the governor veto this budget, then what?
And or should he sign it?
He should have signed the first one. I mean, it's a balanced budget. If he does, he will have vetoed 2 balanced budgets. I don't really get that. But what he should have done is signed the first one, and then in the special session just brought a supplemental to fill in the gaps and the holes that weren't filled. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, and it's certainly the quickest way to go through the process.
Do you think he's going to sign this one? Is there any chance he'll do that, or is he playing sort of this game of attrition?
I have absolutely no idea. I can tell you, if you look up the definition of insanity, it's doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. He's going to call a 7th special session. We raised taxes in 1 special session, and he's going to call a 7th one, and we've told him no for 2 straight years. So you tell me.
So why don't y'all just not show up? Why don't lawmakers just revolt, say we're not coming?
If I thought we could get a majority to do that to keep them from getting a quorum, I would, but that's not realistic. I mean, we do have a job to do. I mean, after the first special, when we didn't raise taxes, there was this big hubbub about saying we shouldn't take our per diem because we didn't do anything. I disagree. I think we did a lot. We kept tax increases from being imposed on the people of Louisiana unnecessarily. There is no reason to raise taxes in this economy, in this environment, with the amount of tax money that is being collected by the state now. There is absolutely no reason to raise taxes. None, except for the fact that you've got a governor whose wish list is bigger than the state of Louisiana can afford.
If the Senate is stuck on a half a penny for 7 years, if the House idea is a third of a penny for 5, is there somewhere between those two that the two sides, i.e. the governor and you guys, can do a deal?
The half and the third is really a misnomer because the difference between the two is not really very much. The difference in the bills was the total dollar amount that they raised. Hidden with, other than the half to a third, was the cleaning of the pennies, the removing of business exemptions and things along that line. That was the devil in the details. It wasn't just a third versus a half. It was $400 million versus $650 million, and because the Senate version changed, it went from a third to half to a third back to half. I mean, the Senate changed it 4 times. The difference was, the devil in the details was this removal of business tax exemptions, which again, when the business economy in the state is struggling like it is because of the policies of this governor, the last thing you need to do is hit them with yet another tax increase. A personal sales tax is probably the fairest thing to do because if you spend more money, you're going to pay more tax. So, and it does. Everybody has some skin in the game. It's probably the fairest thing to do. And if we're going to have a tax, it's certainly the one I would prefer. But the bottom line is we don't need any. The state of Louisiana is bringing in more money than it ever has before. I mean, last year the budget, the fiscal cliff was $1.6 billion. It's come down to $400 million without us doing anything, just simply because tax revenue has come in higher than they expected. The federal tax change resulted in an extra $350 million increase in Louisiana taxes without us having to do anything. The oil is up. That's another one. Oil is trading about $20 a barrel higher right now than the REC is recognizing. And if you do take the old number of $12 million into the state for every dollar that the price of oil goes up, that pretty much takes care of your deficit right there.
Alan, thank you so much. We're up against the clock now, but I know you need to get some shut-eye.
We're actually leaving for vacation today, and I had to get to the house to meet the plumber this morning. So,
Back to the real world, my friend. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
8:52, it's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic update. Ruben's here.
A major accident on I-20 eastbound has things backed up from Spring Street to I-49 right now. And we have another major accident on I-20 westbound near the Fillmore exit. It has things backed up past Goodwill Road right now. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a shower or thunderstorm at times today. We'll have clouds breaking for some sunshine and a high of 89. Patchy clouds, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
Former President Bill Clinton is on a book tour, a new book coming out later on this summer, and he said that he's in favor of the hashtag #MeToo movement, but he doesn't believe he owes Monica Lewinsky a personal apology.
Amazingly, he says that he would not have done anything differently with the scandal if it were to happen today. In fact, he says that nobody believes that he got out of that for free because he left the White House $16 million in debt, although his net worth today is nearly $100 million.
He probably should have done something differently. You could trace all of the vitriol in our public discourse today back to the Monica Lewinsky affair. He should have done something very differently.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
Damn, we were awesome today.
Wait, the show's over?
Damn, we were just awesome.
We had a pretty good day.
Wow, good by accident.
Yeah.
GBA, good by accident.
We have messes all over town right now, though. I'm telling you.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. What's in front of you?
I'm looking at I-20 East at the Red River Bridge. Big problems there. I-49 at Kings Highway, they had a big mess there. Looks like they got that just about cleared up, but this storm just blew through and traffic went nuts.
Telling you, next time the insurance commissioner's in town, me, Parky, Jim Donlin, hanging out at the bar at Two Johns.
Y'all going drinking?
Save us some spots, Mr. John. We'll see you soon. Back tomorrow morning.
Mr. Jim.
No, John Montelepre.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, that's all right. 8:56, back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Kim Commando.
The grades are all in, school doors are locked, and kids everywhere are free. So let's take a look at what kind of social media will dominate their lives this summer. Kim Commando with your Monday Consumer Tech Update. As a parent, it's vital to know what our kids are doing online. Compared to this time last summer, more teens than ever are online. The Pew Research Center says that 95% of all U.S. teens own a smartphone, but their use of Facebook is down by 20% in the last 12 months alone. The lion's share is moving over to YouTube and Facebook-owned Instagram. The most probable reason? Their parents are using Facebook. meaning Facebook is losing some of its coolness factor. Oh, and this side note, even though the debate rages on whether or not social media is good or bad, most teens believe it has no effect either way. Of course, they're teenagers and you're the grown-up. So this summer, take an interest in what they're doing online. Ask what videos they find interesting. You'll be surprised that most teens are happy to show you. I'm Kim Commando. It's vital to protect your home and family with a home security system without sacrificing your privacy. That's what I love about SimpliSafe. You'll get an HD camera that you control from your phone. You'll see what's going on when you're away, which is great. But what about your camera and your privacy when you're at home? SimpliSafe has a solution. When the camera's on, you'll see a small indicator light. When it's off, so is the light. SimpliSafe designed this camera with a privacy shutter. When you hear it click, you know the shutter's closed. Even the world's best hacker can't see through SimpliSafe's thin, lightweight aluminum privacy camera shutter. It works every time. It's details like these that set SimpliSafe apart as the best security system for your home, your family, your peace of mind, and your personal privacy. SimpliSafe isn't just home security, it's home security done right. So check out SimpliSafe for yourself today at simplysafekim.com. That's simplysafekim.com, simplysafekim.com.
101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin, I mentioned back tomorrow morning. I got to go home and take a nap. I'm exhausted. Traffic update. Here's Ruben.
A major accident on I-20 eastbound has things backed up from Spring Street to I-49 right now. And we have another major accident on I-20 westbound near the Fillmore exit. It has things backed up past Goodwill Road right now. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and intervals of sun today with a shower or thunderstorm at times. High 89. Partly cloudy, low 71 tonight. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.